What's up, guys? William with Windmill Farms. Today we're out here. We plowed down some tomatoes we had for the summer season, and we're out here today on this fresh plowed field so that we can plant us some fall sweet corn. Now, I don't typically grow sweet corn in the fall, especially in the summertime here in South Carolina. It's August 5th today, so it's a very late crop of sweet corn we're going to try to make. We're going to see how it goes. Let y'all follow along in the process. So we freshly plowed this less than a week ago. This was tomatoes, so we freshly plowed it in, and soil looks nice. I'm gonna throw a little bit of fertilizer out and see how this sweet corn is gonna do for us. So y'all follow along. I'll show you step by step how we're gonna do this. Now, we already have our main line down here to put water to the field. I have faucets all along all of my fields we have out here. Now we already have our emitter pre-tapped here from where we had the tomatoes out. We had our tomatoes at almost 7 foot spacing. So what we're going to do for our corn is we're going to add an extra row in the middle of where the old tomato rows were at. So we'll have about 3.5 foot spacing between our corn rows. I've got the Hoss double high arch wheel hoe here. I've got it set up to make furrows so that we can put our drip tape down. So that'll be our next step, is making furrows. Now, when I cut this field with my disc, I lined it up so that the disc itself, it always cuts rows anyway. So some of these rows we don't have to cut because they've already been pre-cut with the disc. So out of our 5 rows of Bodacious sweet corn that we're gonna do, I think 2 of them's already been cut. We're gonna have to push 3 more with the Hoss wheel hoe. So y'all stand back and I guess watch me work. All right, so we got 5 rows. 1, 2, cut by the tractor, 3, another one cut by the tractor, 4, and that's the last one, 5. And I crimp my line here so that when I run the drip tape down here, I don't have to worry about all those emitters pouring out and gushing out water. Just for those that are curious, this is our peppers from early spring through summer. We're keeping them. We do have to weed them out. I'm gonna take the rototiller through here and clean out some of this grass eventually. But it's more important for us to get this planting done. We can clean up crops anytime. But if we don't get the planting done on time, then the crops aren't gonna make it in time for frost. So next thing we'll do is, I've got over here, you can walk with me. Over here, I have some drip tape from where we pulled these tomatoes up. I'm gonna try to recycle and reuse it. I did that. We planted some rows of cucumbers right there in that little gap, and about 2 or 3 days ago, and I did the same thing there with the recycled drip tape. I don't necessarily recommend recycling drip tape unless you have to, because you're gonna get holes in it, pinholes, cuts, nicks throughout the season. So if you go to put it back down, usually when you plug it in, you run into all those problems. Now, sweet corn, I don't really like to run fresh drip tape on it if I can help it, because, you know, I don't usually water sweet corn that much. It usually rains here enough to suffice it, but with it being the heat of the summer, I want to put some drip tape on it, and I really don't want to have to go out and buy a whole fresh roll just for that. So I'm gonna try to see if I got a couple lines of this recycled drip tape, see if it'll work well enough without any drips or major splices or spews to put over there in those 5 rows. I only need 5 of them to work. I think I got 2, 4, 6. I got 8. So if I can get 5 of them to work out of 8 leftover drip lines, be doing real good. So I'll set y'all back up. You can watch me go through the trial and error process of this, because I'll have to roll each of those over there into their respective furrows, and then plug them in, and I'll probably put 5 of them out and turn the water on and see what happens. So if we get any leaks, I'll show you those, and if they're small enough or minor enough, or it's only 1 leak on the line, I'll show you how we fix it. If it's major enough, we'll pull it out and put another line in. So y'all hang tight. we got them all laid. I had a little leak at the very end, but it was just more from it coming untied. But I don't think I have any leaks. I'm gonna walk down here real quick, just kind of through the middle, and keep an eye out for them. You do want to make sure if you've never done drip tape before, you probably need to watch another video on how to do drip tape, because that's really not what this is. But make sure, I always like to walk through and make sure my my colors are pointing up. Helps to walk through and listen too, because a lot of times you can hear leaks better than you can see them. So let's see. As you can tell, got a little spring leak right here. So we're gonna have to fix that. But if that's the only leak we got to deal with, then my fancy, we've done good. This drip tape's wanting to roll on me. Need to go back here and fix that. Yeah, that's all it is. I'm gonna put a little joint in it and get that fixed, no problem. All right, get this rolled. Oh yeah. So all kinds of stuff you got to check, especially when you're reusing this stuff. Most of this stuff is pretty tough. I mean, you can get really heavy meal stuff when it comes to drip tape. I like the 8 mil. That's typically what I like to buy if I have the choice. But you don't always have a choice. Sometimes you got to go with 6 or 5. Those are kind of light. Never recommend going like a 4. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Make sure they're pulled all the way down, don't have no gaps or kinks in them. So 1 leak, not bad. Not bad at all. Let me come back and show you how we're gonna fix that. So let's see if I can get this situated. Double check that. Yeah, I think it'll work. So this is where we had the leak. It was right in this area. So what I've got is a little fix for that. Set that there so it don't get too dirty, clogged before we can get to use it. It was definitely right there. So typically what I do is go a little to the right of the leak, take my pocket knife, cut it, put my little drip tape fixer. Sometimes a hard time getting it in there, especially when this, typically with fresh line it's not an issue, but sometimes with this reused line, especially in areas that's been stretched, which is why this place had a leak to begin with, it can be tough to do this. So I might have to cut it back even further. Yeah. So anytime you pull a drip tape up, it could stretch it. Sometimes that's why you get those leaks to begin with. So you got to cut that part out. You're gonna have to cut about right. Cut it right here. I always try not to cut it on an actual emitter if you can help it. It's not the end of the world if you do, but it might leak a little more if you cut the emitter. Try to line the top of it up since they're both gonna be pointed up. Get your old drip tape out the way, and it'll still leak here some, but it won't spring up all crazy. Turn the water back on, make sure it holds. So, tell it does leak here a little bit. You got a little bit of drip going. That drip's manageable. You can sometimes tighten it down where it doesn't drip at all, or barely drips. But when you got those little pinholes, what they do is wind up blasting the soil away with all that pressure. A little slow drip there is not going to hurt anything, but those pinholes push water out with pressure and they wind up eroding away the soil in that particular area. Slow drips just about as slow as all the other emitters are dripping, so we're good to go here. Let's move on to the next step. All right, so next step, let's put a little fertilizer in the ground. I got me an old firehouse bucket to help me throw some of mine out. We use triple 13 or either triple 10, whatever's available. I like the triple 13 better, obviously a little bit stronger. It's It's probably the only thing that isn't pure organic or beyond organic on our farm is our fertilization methods. Sorry for the shoddy camera work. But we have really sandy soil here. It looks nice and dark on film, but it's a lot of sand. We do amend it with horse manure, composted chicken manure. There's a great place down the road that does composted chicken manure in bulk. We love using that stuff. But we do use some granular fertilizer here. We throw it out, and especially for this corn, it's gonna need a good little nitrogen kick. And with them tomatoes just coming out of that area, I like a good well-rounded fertilizer like 13-13-13, because them tomatoes are gonna pull a lot of those other nutrients as well. So coming back in here with corn, it's gonna need a good strong base. I just go down, sprinkle it down the row, nothing special. I guess I'll carry you along with me for a second and show you approximately what I do. So I just come on along here. I don't have a particular application rate. I just do what feels right, and I'll just take it, sprinkle it directly in the furrow like that, so I can see some decent color right there, and just do it till what I feels right. Is that the right way to do it? I don't know, but it's always worked for me. I don't go overly heavy. I mean, I don't want it to be completely just fertilizer right there in the furrow, but I kind of sprinkle it where I can see it's evident there. Some stuff I do heavier, some stuff I do lighter. Corn I do decently heavy. Greens, decently light. They don't take much. Peas, I don't do at all. So beans, I don't do at all. But it's kind of what we do. So hang with me, watch the time lapse, and we'll get the fertilizer spread and move on to the next step. Alright, now that we're fertilized, I'm going to take my earthwade seeder. I got my sweet corn plate in here. I don't ever really fill it up. I just kind of fill it as I go. If you fill it up, it winds up, earthwade seeders are known for putting out a lot of seed. So if you fill it up, it puts out a lot of seed. So I just do a little at a time as I go, and take it row by row. Try to make enough to make it down 2 rows. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But I got a pound of Bodacious seed, and I got 500 feet of row to fill. So like I said, I'm gonna put some in there. It's got a fill line on it. I stay below that fill line, try to at least, especially on sweet corn, because it's very expensive now for the seed. But got it filled up. So y'all watch. A lot of people ask me about the depth and stuff that I do this at, because you can set the depth on these earthway seeders. I don't do that. I have a furrow dug. Y'all saw me dig that. I got the drip tape in the furrow. I don't even put it at a depth because I don't dig in the soil with it. I literally keep this part, don't even touch the ground with it on the furrow part right here. I just use this solely to drop seed, and I go back with the hoe and cover it up. So I don't let the earthway seeder determine the depth for me, because to me that's imprecise anyway, depending on how hard you push down and that kind of stuff. So I just drop the seed on top of the drip tape and then come back later with the hoe and cover it back up, and I'll show you that step too. So hang on just a second, we're gonna drop us some seed. Alright, now that the corn's in a row, and I'll show you that. So all those little red seeds are the corn seeds. Now that all 5 of my rows have corn seed in them, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take just a regular hoe, come down here, kind of knock the edges off this furrow, and cover this corn seed up. I don't cover it particularly deep. I figure as long as the drip tape's covered, the corn's got enough covering on it to make it start at its life and do all right. I've been successful with that in the past. You don't have to get overly particular of, does it have a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch? Just throw some dirt on top of it. Don't bury it too deep. Cover your drip tape with a little bit of dirt so the animals don't get to it and it don't get blowed away, and you should be good to go. So y'all hang tight, watch me do that, and once we can do that, I'll give you a recap. Well, that about finishes it. So put a little extra step in there. After I covered it up with the hoe, I went back with the rake because I was pulling up a lot of grass clods and roots and everything else, and I just wanted to get that as kind of out of the main row where the corn's gonna be coming up. I can always work between the rows. You can kind of see how the water's coming through the drip tape on some of the rows, depending on the angle. But that's it, my 5 rows of fall sweet corn. I'll put 7 more rows over here on the other side of these peppers, because I had tomatoes over here on drip tape, and actually had them on the biodegradable plastic too, so you can't even see the plastic anymore. That's how good it works once you till it in, and it ain't been tilled in but about a week, so it degrades down pretty quick. But anyways, I'll put about 7 rows over there of sweet corn as well in the next week or so. Try to stagger them a little bit. I don't have much time left to stagger them. Stagger them a little bit so that hopefully we won't get them all at the same time, but we probably will anyway. But appreciate y'all watching. Tune back in later, and we'll show you some more stuff we do here around the farm. More planting and fertilizing and just all kinds of stuff on how we keep our 2-acre market garden farm, whatever you want to call it, going. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.